listen-only mode.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to 8x8 Webinars today. My name is David Leach. I'm going to be your host for today's webinar, and I have a special guest with me today, Mr. Daryl Addington. Daryl is our Senior Product Marketing Manager in the arena of integration.
Hi, David. How's it going?
Excellent, man.
Good.
Thanks for joining me today.
Thank you.
We've got a great webinar today. What we're going to be talking about is how 8x8 integrates our unified communications and contact center solutions into the NetSuite portal world. And Daryl is the subject matter expert on that topic, so I couldn't be in better company right now. So what we're going to do with today's webinar, we want to keep it interactive because the webinar is really about you. We're here to provide you some expertise and guidance, but we want to make sure that you're getting the most out of the webinar. So here's how we're going to do this. On the panel for the webinar, the console there, you should see about halfway down a questions tab or toolbar. You can use that questions bar to post comments or questions to Daryl and I, and we'll be able to address those as we go through the session. And if you could just take a moment right now and post a comment in that questions bar, using that questions bar, just open it up, hit that little bar, type in your comment, indicate that you can hear me. Just say yes or something indicating that you can hear me. Hit the send button, and we'll see that indicator and know that we're connected. And now we know that. So thank you. All right, brilliant. Well, Daryl, with that, I know you've got a lot of content to review here with us, so why don't I hand it off to you and let's get started.
Okay, that sounds great. And you'll keep an eye on the questions for me.
I will watch the questions. All right, yeah, and it looks like right now we're just getting comments indicating they can hear us, so that's good.
Excellent. So we're going to talk about 8x8 with NetSuite, as David talked about. So one of the questions that might be in the back of your mind is why is 8x8 building connections into CRM companies like NetSuite? And what's going on is really this massive shift that's happened over the last 20 years or so. Increasingly, people have access to the data that they need, and there's more and more data out there. So if you think about your experience as a consumer, or really it's just about anything where you're lacking information, you're going to go out on Google or the search engine of your choice and search for whatever it is that's troubling you. Even if it's an issue with a specific organization, you're probably still going to start with Google.
And you think about all these mobile devices people are using, right? Every one of those mobile devices is a continuously on transmitter sending and receiving information.
That's right. That's exactly right. It's becoming increasingly easy to get that information. You don't have to be sitting at a desk. You can have your mobile device. You've got Google Glass, and who knows what we're going to come out with over the next couple of years. It's going to make it even easier to access all this information. An interesting stat that's up on the screen here is from IBM. It says that 90% of the data that exists in the world was created in the last 2 years. Wow. So data is expanding rapidly, so that's why we go to the web first when we've got an issue. But so what happens then after you've gone to Google and you've accessed all this information that's available on Google, and then you've gone to the company website and you've taken a look, and they've got there's FAQs out there. Increasingly, there's great ways to search for information that's on the web. There's lots of self-service tools, so if you need to change your address, you can do that online. If you just want to find out information about store hours, you do that online. But sometimes you're going to come across an issue that's not solved that way. Now you're going to call.
I'm going to call somebody.
You're going to call somebody.
I'm looking for a phone number.
That's right. You might do a chat or you might do an email. Of course, our contact center products support those communication channels as well. But really, you think, well, if all these people on the planet that have provided all this information on the web haven't helped me, and the company that sold me the product or the service hasn't helped me, I have got some kind of a special issue. I need to talk to somebody here. I need a human being. So you place that phone call to an agent who might be on very old technology. They might be using some on-premises CRM, maybe a homegrown CRM. They might be using an on-premises telephony system. And if that's the case, it probably hasn't been integrated, and that poor agent then is sitting there talking to the customer, trying to pretend like they've got fast access to that customer's information, and the disconnect that the customer feels from having instant information on the web to seemingly no information. What's your first name, what's your last name?
I just provided that information. I just said this, and now you're asking me that question?
That's right. And I'm sure for the folks that we've got out on the webinar today that they have got fantastic situations where their agents have got a lot of this information. Perhaps yes, perhaps no. There's always room for improvement. But in any case, this is what's happening to a lot of businesses around the world today. The agents don't have access to the information that they need. So they're essentially in on-premises jail. My cute graphic is coming up there. They're having trouble. And the reason they're having trouble, and I alluded to it, is that the on-premises software that has been deployed on servers, sitting at the site, doesn't integrate well. It's based on different technology stacks. And so all these different three-letter acronyms and different codings that you see on the screen right now are the different technology stacks, and they don't go together well.
You know what's nice about this slide, Daryl? The people on this line are our customers. They tend to be our customers, and they don't have to worry about
They don't. That's right.
these things.
That's right. It's a brand new world when it comes to integrations because of the cloud. So there's a few different reasons for that. One is that most cloud vendors support RESTful APIs, and these are common technology stacks. It's a common way to share data back and forth between the systems. So that gets a lot easier. The second reason is that the cloud vendors are now doing the work on behalf of customers or potential customers, like the folks that we're talking to today on the webinar.
Yeah.
So they don't have to do that stuff themselves on premise and try and stitch together two antiquated systems. We're doing all that work, and then we make sure that as Salesforce or NetSuite, like we're talking about today, upgrades their systems, that we're compatible with those systems. And as we upgrade our systems, we make sure we're compatible with those systems as well. So they interoperate, and there's really nothing that the customer has to do in order to make sure that they interoperate.
So all the heavy lifting is handled. You don't have to worry about it.
That's right. That's right. So then you can concentrate on, okay, how do I want to treat my customers? How do I want to train my agents to use the information that's available to me within my CRM system? Things like that can have a measurable impact on the agent efficiency, the employee efficiency, and the experience that the customer's having with those employees. So there's a few different other points on here. We're going to talk about all these around single sign-on, security, and reliability, and all the things that you would want to have when you're deploying these things via the cloud. But maybe it makes sense at this point to jump into a quick demonstration so people can see what it looks like.
You've got a couple of different integrations here. So we're talking Virtual Office, Unified Communications integration into NetSuite, and Virtual Contact Center solution integrated into NetSuite. So why don't we start with Virtual Office and work our way up there?
Yeah, that sounds good. So I'm going to change my screens around. And what you can see here is you can see my NetSuite screen. I've logged into NetSuite. This is an account that we keep available for doing demonstrations, and it's a test environment as well, so we can, again, make sure everything is working the way that it ought to in terms of the integration into NetSuite. We have two suite bundles that are installed on this NetSuite instance. A suite bundle is a typical way for parties that are integrating the NetSuite to package up their integration, and makes it very straightforward for a NetSuite administrator to install it. So you get a suite bundle, and you can just basically click through it, and within a few clicks, you've got the whole thing installed and ready to go.
And as an end user, how complicated was it for the end user to get these suite bundles installed?
Yeah, so once the administrator has set that up, you can literally just set up a custom portlet, and you go here to Setup, and then you select the appropriate plugin or suite bundle from the list. In this case, this is our VCC integration, and then you can see here we've got our Virtual Office integration.
Nice.
Well, yeah.
That looks pretty easy. End users can do that. You don't need to get IT involved.
That's right. So then as a user, I log into the system at the beginning of my day. I've logged into NetSuite, and I can just simply click on the 8x8 Virtual Office link here, and you can see that now I've popped open the 8x8 integration, the 8x8 plugin to NetSuite.
Now you're an 8x8 user. You're a user of Virtual Office. You're a user of Virtual Contact Center. You are logging in. Are these the same credentials you use to log in, whether you're in NetSuite or not?
That's right. So I've logged into my Virtual Office desktop client via these credentials. If I use the Virtual Office Online, which is the web-based way to interact with phones, I use the same credentials, and then I use those same credentials here when I'm logging into this plugin.
So this is nothing new. This is everything that you're doing on a daily basis. Now you're doing it in your NetSuite world.
That's right. That's exactly correct. So I'll go ahead and sign into that. And once I've signed in, you can see I get a dial pad interface. So this works just like you would expect it to in terms of being able to put numbers in. You can type numbers into this field. You can cut and paste numbers into that field, and you can make a phone call. You can also click the dial from within NetSuite and automatically make a phone call out of NetSuite, so you don't have to punch that in. That's actually, it seems very, very simple feature, but it's actually one of the things that people get used to the fastest. It's not having to, yeah, if you make a lot of phone calls during the day, being able to just click on a number to make that phone call rather than having to punch those digits in every time becomes a big deal over the course of the day and the week. Yeah. If I click down here, we can see the recent transactions that I've had, the recent calls, I should say, in this case. So these are all the phone calls that have occurred on this particular system. I can actually call here or click here to call any of these back, and I can launch the record within NetSuite by clicking on the link. I also have all my contacts within this interface, and in fact, I have 8x8 contacts, but I also have NetSuite contacts in here. Although I may be configured not to have them. But you can have 8x8 contacts or NetSuite contacts, or you can have both of them in this list. So it's up to the user to decide, how they want to do it. A lot of our customers will use 8x8 contacts for their fellow employees, and then they'll use the NetSuite database for customers, for customer contacts or vendor contacts or external contacts of some kind.
So end user configurable contact list, I can build that contact list straight up from the application or applications that I want right in there.
Right.
Nice. Save me some time.
Exactly. So those are the three menus along the bottom. And then if I go ahead and I place a phone call into this line, I'm actually going to use my cell phone to call my corporate phone, and I've got the phone sitting here next to me, so you may even hear it ring quietly. And then you can see I've got the inbound phone call that's coming in on the plugin. We've identified the caller as Shaggy Doo. I'll go off hook on my phone. And then let me show you a couple of things that have happened on the NetSuite side. So one is that we've got an activity history that popped up.
Nice.
And that activity history is showing all the previous phone calls that I've had with that particular contact.
Excellent.
This shows up for everybody in the organization whenever Shaggy calls. So it's a great way to see not only what you might have said and forgotten from the previous call with a customer, but also what other employees have said. And you can see the notes here, the comments from the last call that we had. I just had a fantastic conversation with Shaggy, and he's going to let us do cater his next big event. So you can really quickly understand, okay, who is it? Was it who talked to him? Was it Tony in support? Was it a good call? Was it a bad call? Helps the organization to treat customers as though the organization is a single entity rather than a bunch of disconnected employees who don't know anything about what the other employees are doing.
And so now you, as the agent answering that phone call, are perfectly empowered, in fact encouraged, to track and document your interaction with this customer, prospect, whoever this party is that's calling. And that interaction is right there at your fingertips, facilitated by this integration block that we set up.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's a great segue into the comments field here. And I'll show you some of the things that we automatically log into the customer record. But this is a location where you can take notes about the conversation. And you can type that into that field. We've actually got this Thursday, this field will become resizable, so you can actually make it a little bit bigger. So we've got a dedicated engineering team for our integrations here at 8x8, and we're constantly improving and making enhancements to the integration.
Excellent.
So I can type my notes there. I've got full call control from this interface as well, so I can hang up the call, I can put it on hold, I can make an outbound phone call to transfer it, or possibly to merge the calls together, so I could have a three-way conversation with an expert within the organization to resolve a customer issue, for example. I can start recording. If I've got that configured on my 8x8 account to do call recording, I can kick that off from here, so that's a good way to do ad hoc recording of
in the Virtual Office world, that would be if you're a Virtual Office Pro user, you would now be able to connect your recording function.
That's correct.
Yeah.
And then this last button is a dual purpose button. I can use it to open up the contact, Shaggy's contact within NetSuite, which you can see is already open here.
It's already open, okay.
If I don't recognize who the caller is because the number that they're calling from isn't in NetSuite, this gives me the option to create a new NetSuite record on the fly.
Right.
It's a little simpler than doing the entire NetSuite contact. You just need first name, name, last name, and we auto-populate the phone number, and then you can add an email address in there as well.
Well, we're always hoping new people are calling, so you want to facilitate that, absolutely.
The easier it is to add a contact, the more information you're going to grab about your customers and your contacts within NetSuite.
All right.
And then, so when you add a new contact, then we'll obviously put all this great call log information into that customer record. So if I end the phone call, you can see I get the call log, and we've got the subject here. It's an inbound call, the time and the date that occurred. I've got notes. There might be other things, that I can add here that I didn't capture.
And where does this note-taking information, where does that end up? Where do you end up storing that data?
So it gets stored within the object with. I'll say this two different ways. So it gets stored within the object within NetSuite that you've opened up.
Okay.
What I'm
the account record.
The account record. In this case, it's a contact, but it could actually be an employee record, depending on your business. Vendor, customer object. We support a number of different objects within NetSuite, and whatever you open up, whatever gets popped automatically when the phone call comes in is what we're going to store that to. In this case, it's a contact within NetSuite.
Nice.
So if I go down to the communication tab and I go to activities, you can see the recent phone calls that we've got here. Here's our 113 call. And we're storing the subject that I showed you previously, the number of the call, the time it started, the time it ended. We calculate the duration of the call. In this case, it was 3 minutes and 8 seconds. The extension that the customer talked to or the contact talked to, and then the notes from that conversation, whatever gets typed into the. And
if I discovered upon reading it now that I needed to add something to that.
Yeah, then you're inside NetSuite at this point, so you can do anything with this.
Nice. With
this record that you want to do within NetSuite.
Excellent.
So I could just edit it and change that, make updates to it, etc.
Well, that's pretty powerful. That's pretty flexible, and most of all, that was pretty easy to get started. I like that. As we're going through this, make sure you're using that questions bar to post some comments and questions to Daryl, because I know you've got them. Why don't you share those with us so we can answer those for you? That was an excellent overview of what's going on with virtual office world. Sometimes customers are dealing with maybe a little more high volume, high customer-centric focused organization, customer service organizations, maybe in a contact center user.
Right.
So in that case, we'd be talking about the virtual contact center integration into the NetSuite world.
Right.
Want to walk us through that one?
Yeah, so contact center, as you stated, is designed for high throughput environments, folks that are communicating with customers almost all day long. You know, it's a full-time part of their job. They come in the morning, they log in, and they interact with customers all day. They could also be in a sales environment or be in a sales environment and be either placing outbound phone calls to customers or dealing with existing contacts. Let me go ahead and launch the virtual contact center. So what you can see that what's happening right now is that we're signing on. We support single sign-on for the virtual contact center side. And so we're automatically authenticating against the VCC plugin. We're automatically authenticating that based on my login to NetSuite. So you don't have to do any extra steps there.
That's nice.
Yep, that is good, especially when it happens quickly.
And sometimes in this particular room we run into wireless issues, but it looks like it's connected that time. There you go.
Good.
All right.
So this is the agent console, and I'm in a offline, or I'm on a break right now. This is the typical way that you enter into the contact center plugin tool, the agent console, and I can make myself available. I could do offline work. So all these things are set up so that you're either in a state to accept customer interactions, or you're in some kind of a wrap-up state, or you're in a specific state like being trained or going to lunch or going on break. So you're keeping track of the agent state at any given moment throughout the day, and you can report on all those different states as well. So you can understand when that agent logs in, they can expect that there's going to be some work coming to them, some kind of a customer call or some kind of interaction, almost immediately.
So what's interesting about this is everything that you get with your virtual contact center agent portal, all now exposed within the NetSuite world.
That's correct. Yeah, that's right, and integrated too, as we'll see in just a second. So the paradigm that we're working with here is a cruise paradigm, and you can see we've got a couple of different queues that we've got set up: a honeymoon cruise, a luxury cruise. We've got chat set up and voicemail, outbound and inbound contacts. This is a full contact center.
All right.
Capability. I can search. Your environment may have 2 queues, or it may have 100 queues. You can search quickly for queues by typing in a few letters, and it will start to limit what you're seeing there pretty quickly. So you can easily find queues. So, for example, you don't really want to transfer customers, but sometimes you need to. Being able to find the right queue and see what the status is of that queue, what the longest wait time was, which is the numbers that you see here.
Right.
Great for visibility, right? So that way, if you get a customer and you're in billing, and what it turns out they've got a tech support issue, and you need to transfer them to tech support, great to know that the longest wait time in there is 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Or if it's 10 minutes, you might want to work something else out with the customer.
And know that ahead of time. Yeah.
Know that ahead of time. The same goes for the agent interface down at the bottom. We've only got one agent in this particular environment, but you can see, if I type ahead, it works the same way. So you can find an appropriate resource, maybe a named resource that has the expertise that your customer needs. Then we've got other tabs here as well. We've got an alert tab, notices, that allows you to quickly send out messages to a group of agents. Phone, chat, and email as well. And so these all come into play when you have an interaction come in. So let's get an interaction to come in. I'll click on the phone number here again from my cell phone. And I'm going to hit an IVR, which is going to automatically pass me through to the appropriate queue. You can see a lot of things starting to happen here. My phone's ringing. You can probably hear that in the background. We've got the interaction coming in. So I'm going to go ahead and answer my phone. We have a wide variety of different phones that we support, both on the unified communication side and on the contact center side. I happen to have a hard phone sitting here on the desk, and that's a typical way to have an agent set up, but we support soft phones as well, and many other options. So I accepted the interaction. You can see I'm now as an agent in a busy state, which means that I'm not going to get any other phone calls until I'm done dealing with this customer. You can see some of the information that came in about who that caller is here, and then of course we've got even more richer information that popped up regarding this specific customer, Aiden Summerhalder. And in this case, it happens to be an employee that's called in. Actually, we got a couple of matches, and you can see that here. This is possibly not the best example because we've got a duplicate number for both a customer and an employee, but it's very typical for an older on-premises telephony system to use the same number for outbound calling. So it could be that everybody from customer ABC looks like they're calling from the same number.
Right.
So we created this basically as a pop-up so that you can see how many options you've got, and then when you start talking to the customer, you see, oh, this is Aiden, this is Shaggy.
Right.
So by clicking on Shaggy, you can see I've automatically pulled up Shaggy's record here, and then we'll automatically log all the call results in, and I've got all Shaggy's information. And
you've obviously got this because it's a demo system, but in the event that you've got multiple customer contacts with some of your accounts out there, then you'd be able to track the record associated with each one of those, even though they're the same phone number for several people.
Yes.
That account.
Yeah, that's right. If there's just a single match, then of course you get the single pop, and this actually get this multi-pop window coming up.
Makes sense.
So from that point, it's pretty much the same in terms of interacting with NetSuite. We're going to log call data into NetSuite, and you've got all this information at your fingertips, so you can help the customer.
Excellent. So. You set that up very much the same way that you did the Virtual Office Unified Communications integration. It was a plug-in package bundle that was part of the NetSuite environment. So all of this was user installable, did not require any input from the IT organization. And the beautiful part of it was that, how much did it cost to get this all set up?
So all the integration to the CRMs is included in the various packages that we have available on the Unified Communications side and on the Virtual Contact Center side. So Virtual Contact Center VCC Pro and above includes the integrations, and then Virtual Office Pro on the Unified Communications side also includes the integrations.
Excellent.
It's included in the cost. On the contact center side, if you're a contact center manager, there's configuration that needs to occur, not necessarily on the integration, which is pretty straightforward based on the suite bundle, but obviously setting up your queues, setting up your IVR, getting your agent skills set up, and setting your agents up, all things that you would expect to need to have set up in order to run your contact center, dialing your reports and things like that. All of that is extraordinarily straightforward on the 8x8 system. And when I was lucky enough to take training when I came on board here at 8x8, I was blown away by how simple it was to set up a running contact center. It can happen very, very quickly.
Nice, nice. All right, and so when you talk about the communications environment today and the customer environment where customers are really expecting interaction now at a high level of expertise, knowledge, and awareness, this is really fundamental. This is indispensable, really, when you think about it, the functionality that is incorporated here. So what's nice about the audience that we're talking about here today, or talking with today, is that they recognize that importance, and they're out here wanting to learn more. So I am looking forward to you posting some questions in here into using your console there about halfway down. You see that questions bar. Use that right now and post some questions to us so that we can address those particular issues that are important to you right now. And
so while we're waiting for that, I can touch on a couple other points around configurability.
Absolutely.
For Virtual Contact Center. So one of the things here is that we've got a reason code that we've included here. These are all customizable, and so you can see what we're trying to gather is what was the call about.
Right.
Information, was it to book a cruise, modify a cruise, cancel a booking, or some other reason. So after every interaction, basically you can push this to the agent. Before they can go to the next state and make themselves available, they need to say, okay, this was about booking a cruise, and I want to select that. This is great for gathering up reporting information. The other things that are configurable are around the reason codes for working offline or going on a break. So you can set those up, and those are configurable as well. So if you're going to go to lunch, you're going to go to training, you can set that up.
And those reason codes are tracked in the Virtual Contact Center reporting tools.
That's correct.
And that's also tracked in your NetSuite account records, right? Yeah.
A lot of the information, in fact, it just popped up. You can see here we've got the, this is configurable. You can have this pop so the agent can see it. It can actually happen behind the covers as well.
Okay.
For demos, it makes sense to pop it up, but a lot of companies want to just make that happen. So you can see a lot of the default information
nice.
Being captured here in the comments field. This is actually very configurable on the contact center side because a lot of folks will customize their NetSuite, and then they'll want to have 8x8 push specific data into specific NetSuite fields. And if needed, we can do that as well, and custom objects within NetSuite, custom fields. Basically, the interaction with the CRM from the VCC side is configurable from almost every step of the way. So you can really dial it in for your agents if that's required. A lot of customers use it just out of the box, and it adds a ton of value in terms of having that customer information.
That's a lot of versatility. I like it. So, Daryl, you were just at Suite World recently. Was there any key discoveries or findings or common requirements that you were seeing and hearing when you were out there at Suite World?
We got some good feedback from a lot of existing customers and potential customers at the NetSuite show. We talked to a lot of folks. I personally talked to a lot of prospects. Yeah, I think one of the things is that for those folks that are using NetSuite CRM within their operations, they didn't seem to be aware that it was this straightforward and easy to integrate their communication systems in. I mean, at least the folks that I talked to weren't aware of it.
Right.
So I think there's a big opportunity here for improving customer experience out in the marketplace. This was very difficult. So if you've got experience in the contact center industry and you've worked in the contact center, integrating the CRM, you might know from past experience that it's near impossible, and with an on-premises system, you might not even think about it. But in cloud, that whole paradigm shifts, and it's become a lot easier. So that was one of the big takeaways. Got very deep with some of the folks in terms of conversations with them at the show, which is always fun to understand their business and their business requirements, and see how our solutions can help them out, help them running their business better.
Absolutely. Well, indispensable contact there. Well, I thank everybody for joining us on the webinar, and Daryl, I thank you for giving us that excellent overview of how Virtual Office and Virtual Contact Center are integrating into the NetSuite environment for our customers out there to help them across their organization, really, whether it's your customer service focus facing people and your other organizations, be it sales, marketing, billing, accounting, what have you. All of them are now empowered to answer the call and handle the service as needed in one contact with all the history and information right there at their fingertips every step of the way. Well, that's going to put you way ahead of your competitors out there when you're out there going head-to-head.
Well said. It was a lot of fun. Let's do it again soon.
All right, sounds good, man. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. I hope you have a great day. Take care now.